welcome to our Bushuddle podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Cuthbert, Creative Director at Baker Creative. Elizabeth Blount McCormick is president of Uniglobe Travel Designers. She graduated with honors from a bachelor's degree in psychology from Spelman College and began a career in retail management with The Gap, later joining Bono's clothing line, Eden, as a production manager. In 2006, she joined her mother at Uniglobe, focusing on acquiring new accounts, and as a result, the company more than tripled its revenue and added additional employees. Elizabeth has received numerous accolades, including being named a Columbus Business First 40 Under 40 honoree and receiving Smart Business Columbus Progressive Entrepreneur and Smart 50 awards. In addition, Elizabeth assists local organizations, including the Mason Day School Board, Young Presidents Organization Columbus Chapter, Alvis Board, International Women's Forum Columbus Chapter, National Association of Women Business Owners Columbus, Ohio, Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Commission, and the Columbus Chamber Board. We welcome Elizabeth to our podcast. Welcome, Elizabeth McCormick from Uniglobe. We so appreciate having you on our Bushuddle podcast, and we really think a lot of women are going to get a lot from our interview and other business owners. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So, we understand that travel has been very challenging with the whole COVID scenario. And in what ways have you guys kind of coped with that whole situation?
Well, we've spent time reaching out to our suppliers, so obviously talking to airline reps, hotel reps, car rentals, and resorts and cruise lines, just to understand what are their practices, like what are best practices going to look like. So we participated on a number of Zoom calls and information sessions, and we've been taking a number of trainings so that we can communicate the latest information to our clients on what's happening and what they can expect. Because I think if people know what the expectation will look like, then they're more comfortable to travel. So we've done that. Additionally, we want people to continue to dream about travel because we all will travel again. And with that, we started partnering with a number of our suppliers, both domestic and global, and highlighted various locations all throughout the world. So actually this week we had a lunch and learn with a company called Villas of Distinction. And so what was really cool about that is it's obviously an experience where you're renting a home or a villa. You can customize the experience so that you have a chef and cleaning crew coming in. And really, you can socially distance but still get away. So that's one thing that we did, and we continue to do that because I think it's a great way just to share what the options are that are out there in the world. Mm-hmm. And we want people to continue to be excited about traveling. And with the recent information about the vaccine, that's exciting. People are feeling more confident. I read something this week that the U.S. Transportation Association thinks travel will resume in the second quarter. So to me, that's encouraging, right? And I'm excited about that.
So how do you reassure travelers, who want to venture out during a vaccine, that it's going to be safe? How do you overcome some of that fear?
Right. The thing is that to be able to get back to the new normal, right? It's mm-hmm. not going to be the way it was before. You're going to have to be vaccinated. And if you want to travel, right? And that's just going to be a requirement. And unfortunately, here in the U.S., our cases are just out of control. Yeah. And so the thing is that it's, again, like even wearing a mask, I've been doing it since March. I'm trying to protect other people, right? So it's like, it's just a reassurance. So, the bottom line is, Michelle, I think if people want to travel, they're going to have to be vaccinated, period. And I've been saying this from the beginning, there may be some information and requirements about like a health certificate from the World Health Organization. You may have to have a WHO passport. You may have to present a health record. Like all those things, they're probably coming. And so I mention that because people just need to understand it's going to be a different way of traveling. But I'm ready to travel again, and I'm happy to get vaccinated when the time is appropriate.
Understood.
It's just going to be a requirement. I just don't think there's not going to be a choice around it. If you want to travel, you're going to have to be vaccinated, period.
Right. So then are you seeing any new trends that are coming out about all this? As far as travel goes?
I mean, we've had people that have obviously had pandemic fatigue. So we've had clients that have traveled on the leisure side to Cancun, to the Caribbean. And just a side note, I mean, unfortunately, Mexico, they've just had a spike in COVID cases. It's come out this week from the CDC. However, I want to mention, at first, I mean, they, like that country, along with multiple islands in the Caribbean, really locked down COVID. And they were very strict, and they protected their people, right, in the island. So the thing is that traveling to a Jamaica or Aruba, Bermuda, or Barbados is safe because they've been so strict about it. Now, the question is, what are the requirements that U.S. passport holders are going to have to present as far as presenting that you're healthy, right? So we're still seeing people that are interested in booking travel. You know, at one point when people reached out to me, I said, it's safer to go to the Caribbean than it is to go somewhere in the U.S. because we were highlighting a number of domestic destinations, like, you know, on the West Coast. So looking at Montana and Colorado and, you know, places like Yosemite, things of that nature. But I was saying to people, like, you can go to the Caribbean and you'll be safer, right, than staying here.
Right.
And so I think that more to come as far as what those requirements will look like. But we are seeing that people want to book because they're exhausted from being, you know, in the same place and not being in it. A lot of people have cabin fever. And they haven't been able to get out. And so with that, we've been booking some, you know, leisure trips. And just on another note, like, we do have corporate clients that have traveled just during the entire COVID outbreak. We have some hospitals, you know, healthcare clients, other clients that are, you know, their business is essential. So it hasn't been as much as it would be if this environment was happening. And I'm sure we're going to see a significant increase once the vaccines continue to be rolled out. And we're seeing additional positive results.
So how do you kind of see where this, you know, industry is heading in the next 5 years?
Well, I think that people understand the value of having a travel partner. I mean, we've won RFPs and we've secured new business because people are like, oh gosh, I need somebody. Because, you know, when all this erupted, we had to go to bat for a number of our clients, fighting with hotels, airlines, car rental companies, saying, look, this is an unprecedented time. Like, we need to convert these, you know, these dollar amounts into credits. I just did all those things, and our clients were so appreciative of that. Because had they not had a travel partner, they would have never gotten that money, received that money back, right? They would have never received the refund. Like, there was a hotel we were fighting with for a school system here in Ohio, and the hotel in New York was saying, well, we look out our windows and we're still seeing people walking around, so, you know, that particular school is still traveling here. We were like, come on, like, there's, you know, people are dying, people are ill.
Right.
And we were able to get that particular district, I think it was $30,000 as a refund, which they would if they were trying to fight on their own. We just advocate and continue to call. So my point is that people are seeing the value of a travel provider on the corporate and on the leisure side. I mean, I've always say purchase travel insurance, and for some of our clients who did not, that had trips booked like during, you know, the summer of 2020 and in the fall.
Yeah.
Again, we leveraged our relationships and we were able to get refunds. I mean, it's like really making miracles happen. And I believe people will see the value. Like, when you book orbits, you're taking a risk there. And people want to feel comfortable and confident that they're going into a place where there are COVID practices and they received a specific certification that they are indeed, you know, are the standard, or, you know, obviously they've excelled as far as that's concerned. So I just see our value increasing. I think, unfortunately, a number of travel companies have closed. Our industry, the hospitality industry, has just been completely not shattered, but close. And, you know, there are some companies that have closed down because maybe they had a niche market that's just not traveling right now. And if you don't have a diversified clientele, you know this in your business, like, you always have to be diverse. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, right? In one sector. And I'm grateful that we are. You know, we're not just focused on one thing. We only work with universities. Well, I've never been to a business because they're not going anywhere right now.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just things of that nature where one thing that this has taught entrepreneurs is, like, diversify now. Right? This is the time. Like, if you just take that opportunity, it's the perfect time to go after maybe a new market you never even thought about. So, sorry, that was kind of a long answer, but
No worries. So then, how has technology changed? I mean, yes, I understand that people can go to online and book, but there's a lot of negatives to that too, because you could book it wrong, you don't get your money back, it could be a nightmare, and you have no advocate, right?
Right. So we offer an online booking tool for our corporate clients, so they can go and, you know, book Delta or whatever airline they want to. But if they have a problem, they can call us, which is awesome because we're still their advocates. So they're not hanging out there just
Right.
hoping things are going to come together or having to fight for themselves. It's nice to have somebody who just take care of you.
Or even lose all your luggage for that matter. And that's
Absolutely.
miserable going to a meeting in the same outfit over and over. I've seen women have that at, you know, some of the conventions, and it's not fun. So if you were going to restart your business today, how would that be different? I know you're is a different journey, right? But if you had to redo it again today, how would it be different?
I think that I would have taken chances earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have some celebrity clients, and I'm growing that. That's one of my kind of our specialty areas that I'm focused on. But I think I would have started that before. I think that at first, when I moved back to Columbus in 2006, I personally had tunnel vision, and I was only thinking of Ohio, and didn't realize that we can service people all over. So we have clients now in 30 states and counting. So I mention that because it's like, take the risk earlier, you know, put yourself out there earlier. So that's what I would do.
Understood. So let's talk about diversity in business and how does that impact your business?
Well, I mean, a couple of things. It really depends on what kind of opportunity is presented. So, for example, if it's a corporate opportunity, business travel, some organizations in the past, they have requirements to have like a Black or a woman supplier participate just to show that they were being fair.
Yes.
And providing an opportunity, but their intention was never to hire, right? Or was never to give the opportunity to, you know, a Black or a woman owned business or minority owned business. So the thing, and that would get really frustrating. Also, just having to prove that I actually do own a company and I have employees and it's not just me and I'm not a part of the pyramid scheme, things of that nature. But I think with everything that has erupted, and we all know more, you know, Black people were murdered than George Floyd, but something with George Floyd hit people. Mm-hmm. And I think seeing this man, being murdered with this police officer was put on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I think that it really hit a nerve with people to realize, like, we've got some work to do here, right, in the United States. And with that, I mention that because that translated to organizations. Everybody came out and said Black Lives Matter. And with that, you know, what does that mean though? Like, are you just, is it because it's trending, or what are you really doing? And I've said to people and to CEOs, and I've said, look, because people have asked me a number of times, what can I do? And I've said, well, look at your company, look at your hiring practices, look at your boards. And if you don't have, and I've said, if you get if you see a resume with Jamal on it, don't throw it in the trash, give him a chance. I mean, it's those kind of things that are simple. And then on a personal kind of front, I'll say, is that it's like, don't tolerate racism in your life. So I think that, you know, and I'll be honest with you, there have been opportunities with corporations where they may have never even arrived at the decision maker. It could have been through supplier diversity or HR. But I mention this because, I mean, I've had people from mega companies who are the decision makers reaching out to me because their organizations have committed to spend a certain amount, billions or millions of dollars with Black companies, Latinx companies. So I just think that there's an opportunity here. And I think people are realizing that there is a huge disparity between how Black, brown, women-owned businesses have been treated. And I love that attention has been called to it because the conversation is still happening, which I'm grateful for, because that means more is going to happen now than I think we've ever seen, right? Because people they're paying attention, they're willing to get uncomfortable and have these conversations that are critical. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about the racism we face. We have to talk about our experiences. But then it's like, it's the action. It's being anti-racist in all aspects. In business, you know, there's so many people that you own your own business. I mean, you can control like who you hire and how you treat people and the way that the team you hire treats people and interacts. So I think that there's a whole positive domino effect that's going to affect the way that we do business going forward.
Understood. I hear you. What would surprise people the most about your business?
I mean, our business, it's about 85% corporate. So business travelers and 15% leisure, personal. And I think that the thing that would surprise people is that like travel management companies are relevant. Because sometimes people are like, why would I work with you? But there are things like we have access to all of the top like executives at hotels all over the world because our celebrity clients, we have membership in this organization called Tour Connection. So I think people are surprised sometimes that we still even exist. But I think that on the positive side, people are realizing why we do, because if you ran into trouble during this whole pandemic, it's nice when you've got somebody that really will advocate for you.
Agreed. Because no one wants to be stuck anywhere sick or without any clothes. Or has automation made any impact on your industry or how you do your work?
No, I mean, we have all the latest technology. So I mentioned we have the online booking tool, and that's different than Expedia or Travelocity, because for our clients, we can customize it by user. So maybe the C-suite level of employees have different kind of results they can see. Maybe they can fly business and stay in Ritz-Carlton, and others in that organization cannot. So we can customize that information. What's really important is duty of care. And we have a tool that we've had for a few years now where we can pinpoint the exact address of anywhere in the world where our clients are located. So it's helpful. Especially, like, it's nice that report's going out automatically, but if something happens or goes wrong, we're able to rescue people, and all the appropriate parties, invested people are all engaged. Does that make sense? So it's like the travel manager will be involved. If the travel, obviously, we're involved. So it's those kinds of things that we've had, and that's just going to be even more important going forward.
So I know you've talked to a lot of other women-owned businesses and other minority-owned businesses. What do you think the biggest mistake they make that you see over and over that could help someone that has a business now?
Like, don't lower your prices. And I always say, I'm not for everyone. I'm fine with that. If I want to go into a partnership with a client that sees my value, that appreciates what we do, and you get what you pay for and doesn't mind paying me. Right? And I want to be in a situation where a relationship with a client where it's reciprocal. So you don't have to take everything that comes that is kind of presented to you. I think that as women and minority-owned businesses, we've done that in the past too much. We don't have to do that. Like, just you can get great clients, and always follow your gut. There was a situation that happened a couple of months ago with a prospect that's in Miami, Florida, and they actually, we bid on this account, but they went into a bidding war, an auction. I've never done that before, and we did not. No. And we resubmitted our pricing again with an email saying, we stand by our services. We have clients all over the country. This is what we do. If we're a good fit, great. But we stood we stood our ground, for lack of a better term. And women and minority-owned businesses need to do more of that, because oftentimes, there are times when opportunities present themselves that can lead to other things. Just don't shortchange yourself. I think that sometimes we're like, oh, if I can just get this one thing, then it'll just lead to so many other things. We end up losing money. You spend all this time, right? And it doesn't always turn out to me. So I think it's just be a little more strategic about what you're willing to take on. Make sure it's a good fit for your company culture, for what your values are, and make sure people really respect and appreciate what you're doing. Because I'm not the cheapest. I don't want to be that. And again, like, I had a couple conversations with people yesterday, and the whole sentiment was, not for everyone. That's okay, right? It's like, you have to be confident in that, because you will have the clients that are affordable. Right. So it's just something that I think we need to continuously remind ourselves as women and minority-owned businesses.
Absolutely. And I think when you're a smaller business, there's a lot more pressure to shift, right? Yes.
Right, because we kill what we eat, right? And we have all of our employees that are depending on us. So, yeah, absolutely.
So that's another question. So sometimes when you're the leader, when you're in charge of the whole organization, and especially in a space where COVID is crazy, how do you stay confident on what you're doing with the business? Because you get pulled like 100,000 different directions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's having great people that work with you so that you can still stay focused, right? So, I mean, I've hired a few people during this time. Some people I've parted ways with, and it's been great. Everything that was supposed to happen happened to me in the business. And so it's nice that I've been able to bring on people that can handle certain pieces of the business, so I can focus my attention on other things that I'm really excited about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so it's great because, I'm able to, if you want to surround yourself with smart people and people that are smarter than you in different aspects, because then that's their area of expertise, so that I can focus on mine. And so I I've been able, like, for example, I've applied for a number of grants and we've won a number of those, but that's because I have good people and I have the time to do it. And I didn't have to worry about the other part of running this business because people are doing what they're supposed to, taking care of clients. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's just like, so I feel confident in that. So I can spend the time in responding and submitting, the story of what's happened to travel in my business during COVID. So that's the thing. It's about really having the people that are smart to work with you, that you can trust, so that you can do those other things.
Understood. So this is my last question. So moving forward, where do you plan to take the business? You could be high level, just big thinking.
Yeah, I definitely want to have clients in all 50 states. Possibly just look at, as far as, I'd love to be the go-to travel company for celebrities and athletes. So I'm working on that. And I think that we'll eventually I have an employee that lives in Tucson who works for me there. I think we'll have to have a West Coast operation at some point, and then a presence probably on the East Coast. But I just think that we're just getting started. And despite the fact that's happened, like, I had a couple of moments, because we all do as entrepreneurs, but not enough to just say I'm shutting these doors down. I'm in my office today. I've been coming the whole time, right? So my point is that I think that people see the value and they want a partner, and you've got to reinforce it and be genuine about what you offer. If it's a service, if it's a thing, if it's an item. Because if you're genuine and you are, we've reached out to our clients so many different times, just checking in with them. This is a crazy time for everybody. But it's genuine, it's authentic. It's not crap. No one's traveling right now, not really. So but it's just like, hey, we're here for you.
Right.
That's what we have to do. You have to show your value and reiterate that over and over and over.
That's a good answer. That's wonderful. Well, I appreciate all your time, and thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. If you're interested in learning more, visit our website at bakercreative.co.